It's been less than a year since we got our hands on the OPPO Reno 11 series, and it seems the successor is already here. Meet the new OPPO Reno 12 series, specifically the Reno 12 Pro. Now, I know what you're thinking. This phone looks so different from the Reno 11 Pro we tried earlier this year. And you're right. OPPO made some significant changes to the Reno 12 Pro both inside and out. Do you know the saying, don't change what isn't broken? It seems OPPO wanted to try something different with the Reno 12 series, and this is what we got. But given how recent the Reno 11 Pro was, at least it was launched in the Philippines, does it make sense to switch to the Reno 12 Pro already? Well, I'm Jose from Yucatec, and today let's find out by checking out the new Reno 12 Pro. So I'll stop yapping so we can get right into it. As mentioned earlier, OPPO made significant changes to the design of the new Reno 12 Pro. It looks nothing like its predecessor at all. Now, possibly the biggest change would be the camera island. Rather than a long rounded camera island, the one on the Reno 12 Pro is now rectangular. Some of us here at Yucatec think the new design looks a lot cleaner, but because of the redesign, it resembles another smartphone we tried in the past. Well, at least I think it looks similar to the Vivo V29 series. But what do you think? To distinguish this phone from other smartphones, OPPO did hop onto the trend of fluted camera bezels, similar to what other manufacturers have been doing. Now, there's no doubt it looks great with the circular camera housing since it resembles luxury watches like the Rolex Datejust, Day-Date, especially with the fluted bezels. However, I don't think it works that well on the Reno 12 Pro with its rectangular camera island. At least that's what I think. As for the rest of the back panel, our review unit features this unique pearl-like texture that reflects light beautifully with matching wave-like patterns. Now, this is exclusive to the Nebula Silver color, which we have right here. I personally prefer the minimalist design of the Reno 11 Pro, but there is no question that this new design has its appeal. Now, what I didn't like was the rubber case that came with the Reno 12 Pro. It's still a clear rubber jelly case like before, but it now comes with creases that makes it easier to hold. The downside is, when used on the Reno 12 Pro, it makes the phone look rather cheap. I mean, the matte black jelly case on the standard Reno 12 looks a lot better than this one. Going back to the phone, you still get the volume rocker on the right side along with the power button. At the bottom, you'll find the USB-C port and the dual SIM card slot, which doubles as a micro SD slot. The left side is clean, and at the top, there's the secondary microphone along with an IR blaster. Despite the radical redesign, the OPPO Reno 12 Pro still feels nice to hold, and it's relatively thin, measuring just 7.6mm thick. It's quite light too, weighing only 183 grams, and it comes with IP65 dust and water resistance. As for the styling, I've said my piece, so I'll leave that to you. Open it up and you're greeted by a 6.7-inch AMOLED screen. Now, this being an AMOLED screen, you get some really nice colors, and they are vivid too. And you can adjust the saturation to how you want in the display settings. Blacks are quite deep too, making it great for watching videos or movies and checking out the photos you're able to take on this phone, which you probably will be doing a lot. It's quite bright too, making it easy to use under the sun. The Reno 12 Pro's display has a maximum brightness of 1200 nits. Now, I know other phones have brighter screens out there, but I found it more than enough to use on a sunny summer afternoon. The important part is I could still see everything on the screen even on a sunny day. It's also well protected with Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2. There's also adaptive tone that automatically adjusts the screen color temperature based on ambient lighting, similar to what you'd find on an iPhone, meaning you get accurate colors all the time. While the OPPO Reno 12 Pro isn't exactly a gaming phone, gamers will enjoy playing on it since it does have a 120Hz refresh rate. We'll talk more about gaming later on, but the 120Hz also gives you smooth animation when you're just scrolling through the menu, social media, or even when you're just watching videos. Now, on the topic of videos, I was surprised to find that OPPO finally fitted the Reno 12 Pro with stereo loudspeakers. The top speaker isn't as loud as the one on the bottom, but at least you get stereo speakers now. It's also not the best out there, but certainly it is loud. You can max out the volume to 300%. And if you're just watching with friends, the sound quality is already decent. Okay, so let's move on to one of the best aspects of the Reno series. The cameras. If you were impressed by the cameras of the OPPO Reno 11 Pro last year, then you definitely won't be disappointed by the cameras on the Reno 12 Pro. Like before, you get a triple rear camera system that is highlighted by a 50-megapixel main shooter with EIS and OIS, paired with a 50-megapixel telephoto and an 8-megapixel ultrawide. With that, you can take great photos no matter what subject matter you are shooting. Boss Abe was able to use this phone early in Thailand, and he was able to capture some amazing photos in the country. Here in Manila, I used the the phone to try to capture some local scenery. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't really that cooperative. Still, the images came out sharp with good clarity all around. The camera does a great job of producing the colors too. They're not too saturated to the point that it doesn't look unnatural, but it still looks very vivid. One thing I did notice is that the images taken by the ultra-wide lenses aren't as sharp or detailed, specifically around the edges. The color aren't as accurate either, especially when you compare it to the main camera. As for the telephoto, the quality does start dropping after 3 times zoom, but at least that's to be expected. If you aren't too OC with the photos though, it should still be fine to upload on social media. At night, image quality remains great, but only when using the main camera and telephotos. But as I expected, the quality of the ultrawide does seem to be down and you end up having grainy photos. It's not as sharp and the colors aren't just as nice. There are other shooting modes that you can play with, such as portrait, which simulates great bokeh, and night mode. But from my experience with the phone, you can just leave it in the regular photo mode and the images will come out really nice already. The phone's algorithm does a great job of fixing everything for you. So even if you're not a pro photographer, you can get really nice shots with this phone. Now, for those that love taking selfies, you get a 50 megapixel front camera that takes nice selfie photos. It's not overly edited like other selfie cameras and gives you a really natural look. With friends, the one in the back can still be seen clearly too. In terms of video, the Reno 12 Pro can record up to 4K at 30 FPS using both the front and the rear cameras. With the rear camera, you do have the benefit of stabilization to help even at 4K. This allows you to take some really cinematic videos, whether it's for a vlog or to just post on social media. There is also ultra steady mode, but it's just limited to 1080p at 60 FPS. Also, do note that wide angle does not work with 4K. If you want to shoot wide, you will have to drop the quality down to 1080p. Nonetheless, content creators will definitely enjoy using the camera on the Reno 12 Pro. There are various shooting modes such as slow-mo and dual view video, but again, dual view video is limited to 1080p. Just like the images, video quality is great, especially in the day or in well-lit environments. However, at night, it's still very decent, but there is a noticeable grain and there is also a noticeable drop in quality compared to when you're shooting in well-lit environments. As with all new OPPO smartphones, the Reno 12 Pro runs on Android 14, which is skinned with ColorOS 14.1. If you've ever used an OPPO smartphone before, you'll definitely feel right at home with this phone. You'll also feel right at home with all the pre-installed bloatware once you boot up the phone. There are a lot, and honestly, I ended up deleting almost all of them. There are also several themes and personalization options to help you customize your experience. In fact, the theme that came out of the box already has color-changing wallpaper, which looks really cool. Overall, it's quite nice to use once you get rid of all the bloatware. I did have to turn off notifications for some of the apps that constantly pop up every now and then though, even when you're watching videos, which can get very annoying. Under the hood, the OPPO Reno 12 Pro runs a MediaTek Dimensity 7300 Energy chipset. Our review unit comes with 12GB of RAM and 512GB of internal storage. Now, if you do need more space, there is a micro SD slot which takes up the SIM card slot too. For everyday use, the chipset is more than enough, whether you're answering emails, watching videos on YouTube or Netflix, or simply just scrolling through social media. You won't experience any lags or slowing down whatsoever, even if you leave multiple apps running in the background or use the multitasking features. The phone will run smooth. While the Dimensity 7300 Energy isn't exactly the most powerful chipset, it can run light games without any issues. Mobile Legends, COD Mobile, League, Wild Rift, it can handle it. It doesn't surprise me that it can handle graphic-intensive titles like Genshin Impact as well. Now, I did have to tweak the graphic settings a bit in order to have smoother gameplay, but it still runs on 60 FPS and the majority of the graphics are still set to medium. For those of you who play for a long time, the Reno 12 Pro didn't have a hard time playing Genshin for extended periods of time. However, after almost around 40 to 45 minutes of gameplay, the phone did heat up quite a bit. The heat did concern me a bit, so I ended up turning the phone off. But before that though, I didn't really notice any effect of the heat with the gameplay. But of course, as usual, you can check out the benchmark scores here if you're interested in that. Powering their OPPO Reno 12 Pro is a 5000 mAh battery pack. It lasts a relatively long time despite having been used to run benchmarks, play games, and take some of the sample photos and videos you saw earlier. In fact, I forgot to recharge the phone overnight with around 42% left. Still, it did not run out of juice the day after. Now, for reference, we did run PCMark's Work 3.0 battery test and we got a result of 18 hours and 35 minutes, which is a great result. So, there is no need to worry about battery life with the OPPO Reno 12 Pro. And when you do need to recharge, you do get 80-watt Super VOOC fast charging. And according to OPPO, it can recharge the phone from 1 to 100% in just 46 minutes when using the provided power brick and cable. So overall, the OPPO Reno12 Pro is a great phone with all of the upgrades it has over its predecessors. You get a beautiful display, a very capable camera, a relatively powerful chipset, and finally stereo speakers. While the design change is very debatable, at the end of the day, style is subjective. Some of you viewers might like this, while others might not. And that's okay. But there's one topic we haven't covered yet, the price. Unfortunately, at the time we recorded this video, OPPO has yet to release the price of the Reno12 Pro in the Philippines. But over in Europe, this phone in the same 12GB plus 512GB configuration costs 599.99 euros or roughly 38,000 pesos. It's a bit more expensive now, but considering the upgrades, I find it worth it. Still, if you have bought the Reno 11 Pro earlier this year, I don't think there's need to upgrade just yet. But if you are in the market for a new phone and you do have the budget, I think you can't go wrong with the Reno 12 Pro with its long battery life, decent performance, and great cameras. Of course, when we do have the price, we will include it in the description below, so stay tuned for that. And of course, we'll have it up on the Yugatech website and social media platforms. But that's about it for this video. What do you think of the Reno 12 Pro though? Would you cop or would you drop? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, do drop a like and subscribe to watch more. Also, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, and visit yugatech.com to stay updated with the latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this has been Jose, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.